Hey everyone, it is the Uncensored Match Build-up Show. I'm Paul Machin. Dan Clubb is sat alongside me. It's going to be Tottenham Hotspur versus Liverpool, and it wouldn't be a game without the presence of Mr. Chris Pajak, who's over at the board.
He was.
Stop, drop and roll. He's gone. He was on fire. That's how good his performance was, and now he's at the deck, and now he's not. Good safety tip. At what point are you going to give that up and get back up again?
I don't know. Not sure yet.
No.
I feel like I'd like to wait so that no one sees me try and get up and go, oh.
Okay, you're fine now.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the coast is clear. Look, he's on me. I'll wave. I'll wave and everything. No, at least you can see. Everyone can see what team you think we're going to pick.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah. Here we go. Oh, you're coming out of shot.
Hey! Oh! Hey! There we go. There is loads to talk about as well. This is not just us filling for time. Right, we are going to talk about Liverpool Tottenham. Any thoughts you have on the game, let us know. When the team comes out, which is about 13 minutes away, we will go through that as well. But Jurgen Klopp did his pre-match press conference and was asked around the injury updates for a number of Liverpool players.
Trent trained yesterday normal, will train today normal, so and then we have to make a decision. He will be in the squad. I'm not a doctor, so I cannot make that decision, but it looks like he can be in the squad tomorrow and play. Stefan had a little setback. It's like the problem with Stefan is I can imagine everyone wants him to play more. I want, but we have to be really careful. And now it's a little tiny calf issue. That's how it is when you're 6 months out, and we try everything to get him up to speed without pushing him in. We train him, we make a very specific plan for him. But in the end, it's disappointing for him, of course, but for us as well, that he got another one. So we have to take him out a little bit. He can work on pretty much everything else, but not now, not playing. So that's it, I would say. Thiago still out. Connor still out. Yeah, I think that's it.
Is it Calvin? Yeah. Hey, sorry, but we were having a debate whether. Oh, hello. You can mute that now. About a poor remembering of what he said in that. You thought he said Calvin.
Well, Aaron said it was Calvin, because I didn't catch that last bit. I was in Cafe Nero, ordering a drink at the time, listening to the presser, and I was like, "Why are you talking about Calvin Ramsey?" Even if
you very specifically referenced that it was Cafe Nero you win every time. That's the second time you've mentioned that. Other beverage makers.
Maybe I'm angling for.
Like Trent, when you come in with your Cafe Nero cap on.
If they want to give me free stuff, that's also fine. But he did, and I was like, why is he talking about Calvin Ramsey? Even if he was available for us, he wouldn't be able to play. So I was really confused.
Connor Bradley.
Now it makes sense.
Yes, that makes much more sense. Still out. Still out. Is Thiago as well. The Batista stuff is a bit of a shame, isn't it? Because I think he's terrific. He's a terrific footballer, and what Jurgen was saying is obviously they're trying to be careful with him because he's been out for so long that you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back is kind of what he's alluding to.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's obviously been the case in this instance as well. They won't feel like they've rushed him back. They'll feel like they've done everything right, and they've staggered his sort of reintegration into the side. They feel like they've done it all well, but unfortunately he has had this little setback, and it is a shame because you're right, we all get so excited to see him because he was so good the back end of last season. Obviously misses the very end of it through injury as well, but I think there's a lot of reason to be excited about some of the youngsters. Obviously Joel Quanta's burst onto the scene this season, Ben Doak's knocking around, but Bajcetic sort of remains the one that we've seen most of and looks to be the most first team ready, I'd probably say, out of all of them. And especially when he goes into that right back slot and you think, okay, this is a little bit interesting. This is quite exciting. So you want to see more of that. So it is a bit gutting to know that he's going to be out for a few weeks now. That is a big blow.
Yeah, absolutely. We've had a comment come in. I have no idea whether this is going to work or not. It should do. Here we go. Jam says, hi Paul and Dan. Hope you're both well. And Craig Flynn, who is not biased solely to the guys who are in front of the camera right now, says hello Paul, Dan and Chris. Chris, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Are you though?
Yes, I'm
How's
fine.
your elbow?
It's fine.
It's not
a little bit bruised.
It's not bruised at all.
A little bit bruised. Just a little bit.
Super. We've just seen news that Man City have equalised against Wolves, which is a bit annoying, but not unexpected. Okay, let's talk about this game then, Dan. Does the team pretty much pick itself for this one with Trent being back?
Well, yeah, I think more or less. I think there's some conversations to be had around the other centre-half alongside Virgil van Dijk. Obviously, we've seen Konate play the entire game midweek, which is interesting. That's a nod towards it being Matip again, obviously. I think the midfield, there's a slight conversation in there, in so much as I think Gravenberch is really good again in midweek, and Curtis Jones has played a lot of football of late. In terms of the attack, it's probably the most interesting because it feels as though you just go again with the lads that started the last game in terms of the Premier League. But then you look at what happened against Leicester and you got Jota and Gakpo both on the score sheet. So they'll be banging down the door and saying, what about me, boss? And I think that competition for places, that embarrassment of riches, if you like, is really, really healthy. So it more or less does pick itself, but the lads who are going to miss out, whether it be 4 or 5 of them, of those I've just mentioned, will feel aggrieved to not start this game, and that's the perfect place to be from a Liverpool perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. Because is this what you think the team's going to be?
Yeah, it is actually. I think Matip comes back in for Konate. I think he's been absolutely superb for us, and Konate's been good as well. But especially when Trent played that game with Matip inside of him, I thought them changing positions was just a little bit smoother and stuff like that than when Trent is doing it with Konate. So it gives us a little bit more defensive stability. So I prefer Matip right now ahead of Konate. In terms of the midfield, obviously McAllister I think will drop back in, and Curtis Jones is massively important to what we're able to do so far this season. You just have to look at the results that we've had when he's been in the side. I mean, we are just, I think, a better, more well-rounded team for having Curtis Jones in there, and it gives the likes of Dominic Szoboszlai a little bit more space to be able to be creative and stuff like that. And the front three, I think, is really interesting. Today's battle is going to be difficult because we know about Tottenham under Hans Postecoglou and stuff like that. Now, when they're in build-up phase, they actually, does anyone mind if I actually just do it?
Go for it.
They're sort of setting up with like a 4-2-3-1 to begin with. And what's been happening with them is they've been essentially going to a 2-3-5. So both fullbacks are inverting for Tottenham when they're in build-up phase of play. So that gives them loads of these sort of diamonds essentially to be able to pass through teams and stuff like that. And then because the way that they're sort of playing it again, you've got options wherever you are on the field if you're Tottenham Hotspur. So I think the difficult thing for Liverpool is how do you defend against that? And I think, I don't know the right answer to this, but I think this player might be Gakpo, because I think he might be better, or Jota might be better at sort of defending against those diamonds. But for the vein of form that Núñez is in, I think Núñez probably gets the start, although I might go with a Jota or a Gakpo for this one.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting approach, because we have these conversations, don't we, of like, do you put your best foot forward in these games? And it is worth remembering, this is a tough away game, Dan. This is a good team, and as Chris says, it's a team that are set up to hurt us. And do we want to play a bit of rope-a-dope here, which I think has been a little bit of our secret game plan so far this season? Lots of teams came to us home and away last year and tried to blitz us and actually got a great deal of success. So I do wonder, but the Núñez stuff is interesting because Gakpo makes sense because he's a much more rounded footballer. He is fast, but he's not Darwin Núñez fast. So you might be more resilient, but you lose a little bit of something on the counter-attack by not having Darwin Núñez in the team.
That's exactly it. And I think if it wasn't for Núñez's form, as Chris rightly mentions there, I think it would have been quite easy for Klopp to go Gakpo today, because you offer that little bit of added resilience, that intelligence and the ability to drop into midfield and sort of that extra body, that extra number in there to sort of make life more difficult for Tottenham. But it feels as though with that lineup and with Darwin Núñez, we are sort of saying we're going to go blow for blow and we're going to fight 5-5 a little bit. And this could be anything, basically, the scoreline, the way both teams are. We're both on the crest of a wave right now. And I wonder whether if we go there and make a statement, like this is a hugely significant day for Liverpool Football Club in this season, because this is a side that, like I say, they're rejuvenated, they feel like they're on top of the world, they feel like they're the ones who could be sort of ripe to challenge. But if we can go there away from home, and our away form last year was obviously absolutely horrendous. Like I think we won our third away game in something like February, and we could do that today. Already this year. It's absolutely mental to think. So Liverpool have got an opportunity here. Now, as I say, I think he will go Núñez, because I think the form that he showed and sort of the trust and the confidence in him that he's given him in the past couple of weeks, you'll be sort of undoing a little bit of that if you dropped him all of a sudden. So I think he will. But for me, I'm actually with Chris. I think in terms of tactically and what would allow us to sort of control the game better and sort of to quell Tottenham a little bit would be to go Cody Gakpo in this one.
We just to talk about another position. There's a few people talking about Chris's decision on the centre half things. A lot of people talking about Konate. Bagging Pips says Konate all day long if Trent is starting. He says Matip versus Son is asking for trouble. I mean, also the other pace they've got around the pitch. But I want to tie it into this really. So this is from Ali, who says, "Can we just stop pushing Mac in the DM position?" Gomez has played well at right back so far. I'm going to be the first. I'm going to do this for the first time of this season.
It's my favourite.
Hello.
Wolves are 2-1 up.
Hello.
I read we had a comment from Sunil, one of our members, who said Wolves score, and that alerted me to it. So thanks.
Great. Do we think two questions? Do we think that Endo did enough in midweek to put him in contention for this? Because logic follows, tough away game, put your best proper number 6 in the team. But as an outside shout, I've liked Gomez at right back. If you're going to put Trent back in, could this be the game where we put him back in, but we put him into midfield?
Ooh, quite possibly. I think with the Endo stuff first, I think he had a really good game. He really grew into that game. I watched him for 20 minutes. Obviously, I went the other night, and the first time I've been so far this season. I've reserved judgment on Endo so far. A lot of people have been sort of writing him off and saying he's not good enough or whatever. He's not of the standard required. But I think sort of second half of the game last night, I was really impressed by him. He did a lot of the DM stuff really well, and he's quite progressive in his passing. But I don't think that sort of equates to a start in this game just yet, personally. I think we're going to go with McAllister again. But with Trent, I don't know. I think if Trent's fit and available and he's good to go, you just play him. I take your point on Joe Gomez. I think he has been really good, and his defensive now sort of offers in that sense might suit what we need to do today. And obviously with the threats of Son and the pace around him, as you say. But I think if Trent's available to you, you can't overlook him. It's as simple as that. And you can't overlook him being the right back going in alongside McAllister for me.
Yeah, official Cam, Chris, I'll come to you to expand on this now. He says Endo played well. We should play a DM, and it should be Endo. And then Unce says Mac is as much of a CM as Cara was a right back. What do you make of
that? Honestly, I think he's sound in the 6. I too watched the game from the stands the other night, and I've seen the highlights back and I've watched the game back and stuff, and I think I was probably talking a little bit harshly about Endo post match. But what I didn't like about Endo's game isn't what he does with the football. I think he's really good with the football. It's how out of position he can be at times, and that scares me a little bit. And McAllister is just the same way, to be honest. He's not an out-and-out DM. His position's not absolutely perfect in that number 6 role, but I just think he's a better player, so I'd rather have McAllister because I think you're going to dominate the ball a little bit more. I think Endo really progressive and stuff like that, and we got away with that against Leicester, but sometimes you do just have to be a metronome, and McAllister's really great at doing that, probably better than Endo, and I've got no problems with him. When it comes to Trent Alexander-Arnold, I slightly disagree with what you've said so far, is that it's a long season and making sure that he's ready for the majority of it is the most important thing, because there hasn't been loads of a drop-off without Gomez. In fact, it's actually led to other players being able to step up more because Trent's not in the side. But when you are planning for an entire season, you want to be challenging. The more we can see of Trent, the better. So wrap him in cotton wool, because why not? And play Joe Gomez if Trent's not 100% in this one, because you know that Gomez has been playing well, but there are going to be big games. And I kind of wonder as well whether we might go back to something that happened a few years ago where Gomez come in for certain games and Trent came out, because could that be a thing that we see again? I don't personally think that we should.
I think we will.
We will what?
We'll see that.
I think we'll definitely see that.
Gomez come in for this one.
For this one? Yeah, I can't agree with you now.
I've got no problem with Gomez coming in for this, absolutely.
Your point about Trent not being 100% is the point. Yeah. Like, for me, if he's 100% fit, he just starts games of football for us, but the team is out, so whilst I'm talking, I just want to say thanks to Joanne as well, who called me lovely earlier on in the chat. Thank you so much. I've been waiting to bring that up for like 5 minutes, but thank you. Do we have a team?
Yeah, we do indeed.
Okay, I can go through it if you want, mate.
Stupid Liverpool and their fucking links.
Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? So we got the first 11. We got Alisson in goal, Joe Gomez at right back, with Matip, Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson, McAllister, Kurt Jones, Szoboszlai, Diaz, Nunes.
No.
Woo! Gakpo is right. And Salah then. Okay, so that's interesting, isn't it? Because of that. Obviously, can you go through the subs for me?
I can indeed. Queven Kelleher.
Yeah.
Wataru Endo.
Yeah.
Ibu Konate.
Yeah.
Darwin Nunez.
Ooh.
Harvey Elliott.
Harvey Elliott.
Diogo Jota.
Yeah.
Kostas Tsimikas.
Yeah.
Ryan Gravenberch.
Okay.
And Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Okay, there you go then. There's the subs for you.
Good lord.
Well, it's a strong bench, isn't it? The Gakpo thing makes sense to me because I think that's a bit of a nod of respect to Tottenham Hotspur and the form that they've been in. I touched on it before and how they build up, and I'd have been equally as pleased with Gakpo or Jota for this one. But this guy, the interesting thing for me from the last sort of 2 to 3 games is that Jones is leading the press past the forward players. So he's going to have a major impact on the press for us. And I think when you put Gakpo in there with him, it makes it a little bit easier for him. Diaz, we know all about what he's able to do. Salah's been doing it for years. It feels like a very well-balanced Liverpool side, this. And again, you've got that option to go into that sort of box midfield with Joe Gomez if you want to do that. But it also allows Andy Robertson to get forward if you want to stick for a period of the 4-3-3 that we've kind of been used to. So it's a good Liverpool side. Who have Tottenham got playing up front? Is it Son? And who's on the left? Because Brennan got injured in the last game, didn't he?
Brennan's on his hamstring, hasn't he, Brennan Johnson? I'll just find out for you now while that's loading. I'm happy with that, by the way. I made up as Cody Gakpo. I love him. He's boss. Yeah. And he reminded of his quality as well. Tottenham have got Richarlison, Son, and Kulusevski.
So is that Son from the left and Richarlison up top, or?
Yes, yeah. Kulusevski plays on the right hand side, doesn't he? Yeah. And the full side is Vicario, Pedro Porro, Christian Romero, Mickey van der Ven, Liverpool linked with him, of course. Udogie, Yves Bissouma, Sarr, Maddison is starting as well. Kulusevski, Richarlison, Son, like I said.
So it's Sarr, Bissouma and Maddison as their midfield three. That's what's been really impressive with Tottenham Hotspur. That midfield three. Sarr's only a young kid, isn't he? Yeah. He's looked absolutely brilliant so far. Bissouma, everybody's talking about him, but those three together are where Tottenham are their strength, I think.
Yeah, really interesting to see what they do with that. What do you think of the team? Let us know in the comments section underneath. I thought Jürgen was really good talking about the manager. You know, we've had a bit of an Ange Postecoglou love-in on the Biased Football podcast over the last few weeks. I really like him, and having found out that he was formerly a Liverpool fan as well has only added to that. I like the way he conducted himself in that, when he talked about like having posters up, but I was a fan of Happy Days, but I haven't got posters of the fans up anymore. You got to move on in life. Cool. You know, he could have been. It's funny because he's been. That's quite a weird response in football terms, but it's actually a very normal response. He could have been really weird about it and like denied it and made a big deal. I like the fact that it's like, yeah, no, this is who I am, whatever. But I'm here today. I'm a grown up. This is what it's all about. I want him to be really miserable tonight, Dan. But yeah, I thought both managers showed a great deal of respect towards each other.
Yeah, Ange Postecoglou conducted himself brilliantly since he came into the Premier League. Really, I'm a big fan of it. He feels like a very genuine person. Like just one of a bloke, like a good bloke. And I think that's, you don't always get that in football these days, unfortunately. I think we've got one, obviously, as our manager, but I think they are they're not commonplace, let's put it that way. Yeah, earlier on this season, he was speaking about the fact that he plays fantasy footy every year and he won't be able to do it this time around. So he's a good guy, like I say. But yeah, for a few hours tonight, sort of starting now until about 9 o'clock tonight, I won't be a big fan of his. We need to get the job done ourselves.
Bollocks to him. Anyone looked into our record away from home against Tottenham Hotspur?
Really good.
It's really good.
Really, really good.
In fact, we've only lost once under Jürgen Klopp away from home against Tottenham. Everyone remember that game?
That was
the ill-fated. That was the one. I missed that one. I was away, and I got on a flight at kickoff. And then when I got off, it was like Schrodinger's football match. Anything could have happened. And as it turned out, all the worst. Everything happened, as it turns out, yeah.
All the worst
We thought that'd be the last time we ever saw Dejan Lovren play for Liverpool. And then it simply wasn't the case. He had a resurgence from then on in. But yeah, we've got a pretty decent record. In fact, we haven't lost at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium yet. How do we feel about this one? My overall feeling, Chris, is it's got a similar vibes to the Chelsea game, first game of the season, where we're looking for something that's going to definitively tell us that Liverpool are better than Tottenham, or that Tottenham are the real deal, or Liverpool the real deal, or whatever. When we've had those games in the last 4 or 5 years, they tend to be draws, and that's kind of where I think a draw is a really good result in this game. A win's stellar, and I always tend to predict wins, but I don't know, psychologically, I think a win, as Dan was saying, would be huge in this early sort of stages. But I've got myself mentally prepared for this to be a bit of a tougher one than that.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game. I think that we've obviously won the last 4 games 3-1, is it now? Can't exactly remember, and we've gone behind in all of them as well, haven't we?
I can't remember
It's ridiculous, isn't it? You know,
even be 5.
when it comes down to it. But I do feel like this isn't a game where you can go 1 down. Like that isn't making things easy for you. It's not rope-a-dope. You've got to give Tottenham a bit of respect early on in the game and make sure that you don't go behind. I think Liverpool are good enough to win this game. I think we're further ahead in our development of this brand new side than Tottenham are under Postecoglou. I'd be looking for chinks in their armour. You know, they've played well. They obviously got a good result last time out against Arsenal at the Emirates. 2-2 draw for them is absolutely massive. But Liverpool right now, I think I'm right in saying, could still go top of the table. Is that right? Wolves still beat Manchester City. It's a marker, this, for Liverpool. And you've seen, haven't we, over the last sort of, well, since we changed formation, that belief growing, and then the new players coming in and the belief growing and growing and growing and growing, and that they're all great signs. And if you beat Tottenham and you go top of the league, imagine how everyone's game is going to be lifted again. The confidence there. I think if Liverpool can win this game, we challenge Manchester City this season. That's how big and important a game I think this is. Because if you go there and beat them and go top of the table, then everybody has to take notice of you then. And I think Liverpool have got about it the right way now. I think we've built to a point where I think we struggled with teams going at us. I think now we're starting to prove to teams you can go at us, but you're going to get beaten. So go back to sitting in. And I think we've got the team to beat them when they sit in as well. That's not going to happen today, but I do think it's a massive game.
I think, yeah. I mean, again, it's too early for it to be an ultimately definitive thing, but my inkling on this, Dan, is if we are a team if this rebuild is now, like, you know, if we're back to where we were, then we'll win today and we're going to go neck and neck with City the whole way. My sneaking feeling is that we're not quite there yet, and I think, and again, that's what this result will be. There's no result here that will knock Liverpool out of being a team that's going to have a good season. You know, we could lose this here today and still be, because we've had such a good start to the campaign. We're going to be very much still in that sort of mix. But yeah, from our sense, it would be nice to just to not have to go through all the stress of Liverpool going back on the climb to be good. If we could just get back to being really good again. That'll be far more pleasant.
Yeah, I'd bite your hand off for it, to be honest. But yeah, I think in terms of, I kind of agree with Chris, actually. Not in so much as we are definitively, you know, going neck and neck with Man City again like we have done in seasons prior. But for me, it would just reaffirm my sort of underlying feeling about where we are now as a football club. Like this Liverpool reloaded, Liverpool 2.0 that Jurgen Klopp keeps talking about. Like I have a sneaky suspicion that it's a genuinely really good football team again. Yeah. And winning today on the road, as you mentioned, would just be another nod in that direction, because the best Liverpool sides in recent years have gone into these games and you think, oh, that looks tricky on paper, like Spurs resurgence, Spurs playing really well. That's not going to be easy. You know, they've got Son, Maddison, the flavour of the month, if you like, James Maddison. And we go there and just do a very professional, very proficient job and just get out of there with 3 points and go, yeah, that's kind of what we do. And we don't really bat an eyelid. Like, we haven't done that a lot this season already, but it feels to me, I've spoken a lot about Dominic Szoboszlai recently, as we all have. You're just scratching the surface with him. Yeah. Now, you're just scratching the surface with this Liverpool team. If we can go there today, go up a couple of levels, a couple of gears, and really sort of flex our muscles and say, you think yous are the real deal, wait to see what we can do. If we can do something like that, then my belief will go up tenfold as well.
Yeah, I agree. And just lastly, from Ashley Russell in-house says, not enough threat with Gakpo, they will not be scared. I am solely putting that because you're either right or it's now on the internet for us to point and laugh at if Gakpo has an absolute worldie of a game. Them's the stakes. Them's the stakes of committing opinions to the internet, Ashley. I'm really excited with Gakpo. I thought he took his goal brilliantly in the week, and hopefully that kicks on. For me, the best thing about Darwin is that I think he's a much more explosive impact. And I think if you've managed to hold Spurs and it's a close game, I'd rather be bringing Darwin Núñez on with 20 minutes, half an hour, if that, to go, and let him run riot at their backline.
We've seen it in Newcastle. And sort of
we did.
No, but in terms of like how this game might shape up, we kind of expected Newcastle to sort of be this free-flowing side that would match us sort of across the pitch, and he held Darwin back in that game. And just as the game broke into or descended into enough chaos, he went, okay, there's Darwin Núñez. So he might have something similar in mind today. Now, listen, I'm sure we'd rather Liverpool didn't go down to 10 men. Liverpool were ahead pretty much from the outset, and we just went from there. And then you can drop Darwin in to sort of round it off nicely at the end. But there might be a little thought in the back of his mind saying, if this game is tight late on, who do I want to be introducing? You've got Jota, who we know is just absolutely lethal from the bench. He's lethal in any situation. And Darwin Núñez. They're probably your two best impact players. Like, we've seen them both come off the bench and make big impacts on games of football. Gakpo, I love. I think he's brilliant, but we haven't seen him do that necessarily yet. So that might be in his thinking.
He needs to kick on. Just lastly, just in terms of live scores before we go, obviously, well, we knew the early kickoff result. Villa beat Brighton 6-1. Unreal. Currently, with 7 minutes to play in normal time, Manchester United are losing at home to Crystal Palace. Newcastle are beating Burnley at home by 2-0. Boo. Wolves are beating Man City by 2-1. Do yourselves a favour. Do not turn that game on. Do not turn that game on.
Do us a favour. Do Liverpool a favour. Don't turn it on.
Don't turn it on. Don't jinx it. Bournemouth are losing 3-0 to Arsenal away from home. Sheffield United are losing away to West Ham by 2-0. Everton are currently at home losing 2-1 to Luton Town. Okay, Liverpool, the stage is set.
Over to you.
Yeah, we've got about just over 45 minutes till kick-off. Make sure you get yourself strapped in. We will return at 5:15 for the watch-along, so make sure you come over and join us for that one. If you've enjoyed this, drop a like on it. And if you want more Red Men goodness, head to redmenplus.com. Fill your boots on podcast videos, documentaries, interviews, and a whole lot more. If you want to know about Liverpool's investment, Dan has, again, foot to the floor, Dan Club.
That's what we do.
Two specials?
Yeah, two specials. One already out with Dave Powell from The Echo, the Business of Football writer there, talking from like how it's going to affect Liverpool and that type of angle. And I spoke to Kieran Maguire, the brilliant Kieran Maguire, yesterday. That will be out on Monday morning, speaking about who these people are and why they've invested in Liverpool Football Club. Amazing. So if you want to know more about Liverpool's new investors, then do check out redmenplus.com. Anyway, we'll see you in a bit. Up the Reds. Thank you so very, very much for checking out the video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like. The season is now well underway. If you need extra Red Men content, be it podcast, videos, documentaries, interviews, and general shows, fill your boots on redmenplus.com today.